I've had this truck for about 4, maybe 5-ish years now. And since before I even owned it, my whole goal of having one of these was to do a wheelie. Because I just think that's the coolest thing ever. Big truck doing wheelies. And we're gonna try that today. But first, I gotta replace the rear axle shaft because I snapped it on New Year's. They're just stock, little tiny axle shafts. They break, especially with tires this size on a 2.5 ton. So I'm gonna get that replaced. Got a nice rainy day to hopefully get some traction and get the front end of this truck off the ground. So I'm gonna get that replaced now. So if you've never worked on a 2.5 ton, I think they are the greatest axle out there for any kind of off-roading. They're just strong enough and just light enough to do everything well. There's 1,500 horse, 1,700 horse blower motor trucks out there running 2.5 tons, doing great. And there's also trucks on 44s with 300 horsepower, having a lot of fun too. They're super cheap. Rear axle shafts are damn near free. I got like, I don't even know how many of them I have. So anybody that tells you that going the military axle route is bad is just not experienced, I don't think, because they're really, really cheap and really easy. There she is. This one broke kind of far up. Usually they break a little farther, closer to the center section there. There's probably gonna be pieces everywhere inside there, which kind of sucks. Sometimes you can get lucky and pull this out with a magnet this way. Most of the time you gotta take the other side out and knock it out from that way. I got some metal in there. Just pulling out more metal shards. So that's all right. If you're already into off-roading, you probably already work on all your shit a lot. But if you've never done one of these, having a full floating rear axle, like a 14 bolt or anything like that, it's just so much easier than anybody would probably think that doesn't know about these axles. All you gotta do is take off these couple 3/4 bolts and your axle shafts are out. So if your pinion locks up or anything happens in the axle, catastrophic, you can take the 4 bolts off your drive shaft. They're all 3/4, which is nice, and all these bolts out, and you just have a nice free floating dolly to get your truck or whatever back to camp, which is really nice. Nice stock 2.5 ton axle shaft. A broom handle is always the best tool to do this. I'm gonna show a lot more stuff like this that's just super easy to do on these trucks. The hardest part is everything's heavy as shit. But other than that, they're super simple to work on and really fun to make because you really don't gotta think to do any of it. There she is. The old broomstick, pushed it right out. Nice and easy. Make sure we get the last little bit of metal chunks out of there so they don't go down into my bitch. Alright, well, that magnet's toast. This rear diff was gonna stay in this thing for any longer than today, I would take about 3 or 4 cans of brake clean and a lot of rags and make sure that's really, really clean. But since all this thing has to do is hopefully one more wheelie, I'm done. So let's go back to the pile of 2.5 ton parts. It's raining out here. Pretty good. Let's see what we got. Couple front enders, spindles. This rear axle shaft right here, or rear differential I should say, it's a Violator rear end. So that's the best axle shaft you can buy for a 2.5 ton right now. And you have to get the end of the axle right here on the spindle portion of it bored out about 5 or 6 inches to fit the 2-inch shaft through it. So I bought the whole rear differential already done. That way I didn't have to locate somebody that could bore out an entire axle housing, and it's way easier if you can just find one already done like this. And you'll pay some money for it, but you'll never break axle shafts again. You'll just move on to breaking chunks, which is, I don't know if that's any better or not, but I guess we'll find out. There's not much you can do to a chunk. You can add little girdles to the carriers on them and stuff like that. I don't know if that stuff makes any difference really, but now I gotta find an axle shaft in this pile of parts. Oh, there's one right there, ready to go. Oh, nice. This is the chunk, they call it, which is right there where all the gears are put in it. Right there, you can have these for right around $300 in my area. Or you can rebuild them. They're super easy to rebuild, but buying brand new parts for a 2.5 ton is actually super expensive, which is weird. But there's a million parts out there for used, because everybody that builds a mega truck, especially, or bobs their deuce, you know, they come factory with 2 rear axles. So once you only use one, now the other one's just out there floating around for parts for everybody else. And it's really nice. It makes things super cheap and easy on these trucks. So the hardest part about them is how heavy they are, really. That's it. Usually you'd put a light bead of silicone around that, but this axle's not going to see any more water in its lifetime, so we're just going to run it. I plan on doing a whole lot more maybe stupid type tech tips on these trucks, just because there's really not a whole lot out there, and I know a lot of you guys are probably interested in this and just maybe scared to either buy one or work on the one you already have. And just gonna show you, you know, it's really not that hard at all. Super simple. Everything about these axles is cheap and easy. Everybody that has 5 tons or anything, it's all the same. It's just a little bit heavier and maybe a little bit more expensive, but my tow setup and everything is designed for a truck this size, so I really can't be going any bigger. I'll be going down in tire size before I go up in axle size, just because I don't want a big stupid slow truck. I like going fast and just staying cheap and easy. But that's my tow rig. I pull the truck up on that bed right there and pull my camper behind that It's really nice. It's registered as an RV. It's like $60 a year to register it. Super sweet setup. I got really lucky finding that truck right down the street from my house.